Hello, welcome back to theCUBE. We are here on the floor at AWS Summit in New York City, where all the action is this week. Everyone's in town for what's going on in cloud, AI, and of course, how's this changing society. And of course, we're having our media week at the NYC studio all week, so check out the content. Lisbeth Kaufman's here, head of AWS Climate Tech Startups and the ecosystem. Obviously, we've been covering a lot of the sustainability around how these regions are deployed and the billions of dollars of CapEx that AWS is putting out there to power AI, but of course an ecosystem building around that around the world. So we're going to hear about the exciting startups, the white spaces, the opportunities, and the needs that are out there. Lisbeth, thanks for coming on theCUBE. Appreciate taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to share about the amazing startups that we're working with.
Climate change, climate tech is hot. I mean, we now live in an era where supercomputing is now at our fingertips. Yeah. So a lot of the scientists who have been working on climate, it's like a pinch me moment of like, wow, we actually can compute a lot of stuff. So we're seeing a lot of growth around big moonshot projects, indexing the biosphere. I met many of you to startups like working on understanding, gridding out like how to map pollution. I mean, all kinds of like cool ideas that were never possible.
Yeah.
Talk about what the focus is of your group and some of the ecosystem companies. So first, lay out your charter.
Yeah.
What's your role? What's your focus?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right that the existing computing power and AI are incredible tools to address the climate crisis and for the startups building those solutions. So, I'm head of climate tech startups at AWS, and our goal is to make AWS as helpful as possible to climate tech startups so that they can build with our technology and grow and succeed at addressing the climate crisis. This is the biggest challenge humankind has ever faced, and these startups are building the solutions, and we want to support them and help them do it.
Yeah, one of the things I've never seen this in my career before, but now we're seeing it, the confluence of technology, money, and impact are all kind of coming together. So I'm seeing a lot of startups that have mission and profit built in.
Yeah.
There's real, actually appetite for entrepreneurs who see opportunity to go after them, and there's profit objectives.
Yep.
Just talk about some of the ecosystem missions that you're funding or supporting, what they're working on, what are the hottest companies and what's their mission?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a huge problem, and with great problems come great opportunities, and these startups are, solving real problems and creating value for their customer. So we actually created a fellowship to support these startups. So we've got the Compute for Climate Fellowship, which is an R&D funding program to provide grants and technical support to some of the best climate tech startups in the world. Yeah. So I can share, one that's really exciting is a company called Realta Fusion. So they're creating fusion energy, which is zero carbon, abundant, low cost energy. And of course, energy there's growing need for it, as well as it emits a lot of, greenhouse gases. So they've joined our fellowship, and we are helping them use AI and high performance computing to do their plasma simulation modeling. And this is really intensive modeling, and it had never been done in the cloud before because it was so intensive. And so in the fellowship, we helped them basically build a supercomputer in the cloud with our high performance computing. And then Realta Fusion was able to do their modeling and their simulations in the cloud, which helped them speed it up dramatically. Yeah. So instead of waiting a year for access to a physical supercomputer at a government lab, they were able to set it up in a week. And that can accelerate their R&D, which can help them to get to commercial grade fusion, which can then help the world get that low cost, clean energy that we all need so badly.
It's so exciting because, you think about, most people don't know that the current data center build out that's not even built yet, but if it was built, the ones that's projected to be built, would basically constitute about 40 million homes of electricity. That's just the demand, roughly, some of the estimates we see. But then also AI and crypto too are bounded by energy. So the future of AI is really kind of on the shoulders of energy sources. So this is the key opportunity. Of course, Amazon wins there too, because you guys have data center, and you have goals too to be carbon neutral. I think by
2040.
2040.
Yeah, the climate pledge.
I think you guys are on track for that. So congratulations. What other action do you see? I mean, obviously energy's one. Are there other things? Because it's a big data problem.
Yeah.
Compute problem. I mean, waiting a year for supercomputing or, procuring HPC servers, wiring up together, like that's slow road.
Yeah, exactly. And with the climate crisis, we need to move as quickly as possible to address this problem. And cloud computing, AI, they're very good tools to accelerate things and to move more quickly. So it's really exciting to see how these startups are leveraging AI to move more quickly. So let's see, another big area is in agriculture. Yeah. So agriculture both emits carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases as well as pollution. So we have a really cool company called Aigen, and they're addressing the issue of pesticides in agriculture. And they're using AI. They've invented a robot that's autonomous, powered by AI, and also solar powered, so totally clean. And it roams the fields for farmers, killing weeds. So farmers don't have to use pesticides, which then pollute the water. They can use these robots, and it's more affordable. So
robotics example right there, AI and robotics.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So AI, robotics, in agriculture. So that means that farmers can make cleaner food and we can have abundant food, and food security. So that's one example of an area where AI can have a really
Any other
impact.
examples? Cool. Share the top ones. I see you got them on here.
Yeah. Sure. Let's see. So also in agriculture, we have a company out of London called Phytoform, and they're addressing food security as well as making crops more climate resilient, like need less water and land. So they're using AI to actually invent new genetics for crops, and then they can grow those crops. And, for example, they've created a new tomato that needs less water and less land, but produces 400 times the amount of fruit on a plant. So that, is much more climate resilient and good for providing food for the world that we all need to eat.
So what's it like in your job right now? Because, right now you're seeing a lot of pressure on AI. So we know the energy problem's really clear. Everyone sees that. There are a lot of startups and entrepreneurs who have this mission focused. I won't say mission over money, but pretty much is. But money making is happening. How would I get involved? Because there's a lot of the younger generation specifically. They're like, who created this problem? We can solve this. So then they have the tools to do that with AI and everything else. So what's the playbook? Let's just say I wanted to solve a problem with the climate. I have an idea. My dorm mate or college PhD program say, hey, we solve an algorithm or do something. Do you guys onboard people? Do I apply for the fellowship? Yeah. What's the playbook? How do I get involved? How do you vet the companies?
So the playbook for us to vet these companies. Yeah. So with our Compute for Climate Fellowship, we look for two major things. So one is their impact on the climate crisis and the environment. And then the other is how, their innovation, how they're leveraging our cloud computing and innovating, building new technology. And
you guys give them compute, which means you set up the clusters for them.
Yeah.
Credits or cash or both?
Yep, exactly. So it's a grant program, and we provide, these companies apply to our fellowship with a specific idea of something really bold that they want to build. And then we provide a grant in the form of our cloud credits to pay for it. And then we also bring in some of the best minds from AWS to help them build it.
What's it like internally? People like volunteering for that project? Because I'm sure there's a lot of climate change advocates inside AWS.
Yeah. People are super excited to work on this fellowship. And actually, we've expanded it dramatically. So it's 3 years old. Our first year, we had 4 companies. Last year, we had 8. This year, we just announced that we've accepted 23 climate tech startups into the Compute for Climate Fellowship. And that's in part because so many people across the AWS want to work with these startups. So actually, I was thinking another example of a cool company is a company called SmartX, and they're out of Portugal, and they're addressing the issue of waste in fashion. So they are helping fabric manufacturers identify flaws in their fabric, and they're using our AI to do that, so that, if they weren't there, these manufacturers just produce all this fabric and they waste all of that fabric. If it has a flaw in it, they would throw it out.
Wow.
So this company allows them to identify the flaw when it happens, so they don't waste the fabric. And they've saved I think hundreds of like 1 million kilometers of fabric already, and they're just getting started.
That's a really good example. I have to ask you, last year we did the first ever CUBE at our NYC studio. We launched it. Climate Week was in New York City. So it's coming up again in September.
Yeah.
And that's a UN kind of thing going on. That's when everyone's in town. Are you guys having any plans around that event?
Yeah.
I know that's a big week in town for climate tech.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. I think 100,000 people come to New York for this New York Climate Week. So what we're doing is we're organizing a kind of a half-day conference focused on climate tech and AI. And we're going to showcase these real tangible examples of climate tech startups that are building with AI to address the climate crisis. Because we want to inspire the climate community to leverage these tools. They're here to speed things up. They're here to do things that weren't possible previously. So
besides the credits and the application, why is Amazon Cloud good for climate tech startups? What specifically resonates with the startups?
Yeah, well, we have, the depth and breadth of services. So whatever, what these startups need to build their technology, we've got it. And then we have, the most cutting edge services, like, big area that's really becoming useful for climate tech startups is generative AI. We have Bedrock, right, which has the most models available. So we have, there's all of these resources. And then we have my team that's specifically focused on climate tech startups. So we have these programs like the Compute for Climate Fellowship to help the startups.
It's a great community. I got to say, last year I was very psyched when we did the Climate Week event, because I had no idea how much tech entrepreneurship is going on in this area. And it's not like two kids in the garage. It's like serious, like PhD, like technical people.
Yeah.
Because I learned kind of what you pointed out is that the alternative to getting access to compute was old school methods of stand in line for a supercomputer or provision your own HPC servers, load everything up, tons of cash just to get started. The old Amazon playbook, which is why provision a data center, you can go to the cloud, was like perfectly aligned with the problem. Now that democratization has happened with supercomputing, I mean, basically that's what's happening.
You're so right. I love how you put that. A lot of, climate tech startups, these founders are the best of the best coming from academia as scientists and engineers. And in academia, sometimes they're more comfortable with the on-prem. But, we have these, like you said, they don't have to wire up their own HPC systems. Like we have all of that ready to go that can really speed things up. And so, companies like Realta Fusion, we have actually two more fusion companies, Thea Energy and Exemer Energy. They can now do all of that in the cloud and speed things up like rapidly and do things they couldn't do.
Elizabeth, talk about the group, what your goals are. I mean, obviously, ecosystem is forming.
Yeah.
So we're seeing it on our side. You have first-party data on this. Tell us about the ecosystem in general. Growing fast? Is it still specialty? How is the ecosystem around climate tech evolving?
Yeah, so climate tech over the past 5 or 10 years has grown really rapidly. And, as this is just an enormous problem. And it's also such a meaningful problem. So the best minds are moving into this space. And, we see solutions, and we help startups across the whole spectrum: energy, agriculture, transportation. Actually, in our new cohort, we have a company called Aura Aero, and they have invented electric airplanes. And they've actually had the first electric airplane licensed in France to fly.
Cool.
So, imagine that. And they're using our AI and computing to design their airplanes.
Wow.
So we're super excited to
Is there a geographical spread, or is it pretty much global at this point? Is it U.S.-based, North America, Europe?
The community?
The community and the startups you guys are funding. What's the geography dispersion?
Yeah, well, so our program is a global program. So we have companies, across like, I want to say 16 countries.
So it's not just the U.S., it's everywhere.
Yeah. So we've got U.S., Europe, Africa. We've got 2 companies in Australia.
Yeah.
We have one company, this year we have a new focus on indigenous solutions. Because indigenous communities have so much knowledge that they can, honed over thousands of years.
Yes.
That can help address the climate crisis. So we did a special call.
Yeah.
And we have a company in Australia that's using indigenous wisdom as well as AI to do electromagnetic seed treatments to make seeds for crops, more climate resilient and also need less resources. So
I mean, you gotta love the agent move. You can create your bigger team by having more agents.
Yeah.
What's your goals for the year? If you had to go back, look at the reInvents coming up, what are some of your key metrics?
We're just laser focused on our startups. So we want to support these startups we want to find the best startups, help them as much as we possibly can, help them grow, solve problems, get them resources. So it's all about the startups and helping them achieve their goals.
Lisa, thanks for coming on theCUBE. Great mission. I love it. We'll see you Climate Week in September.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on. I'm John Furrier. We're here on the ground. We're at the AWS Summit. It's got a mini reInvent happening this year. So much activity, every sector, tons of news. It feels like the whole year has happened, but it's only halfway to reInvent. More coverage here at theCUBE after the short break.